said, "Bruh," I said, "you gotta maybe slow it down a little bit," because I mean, I didn't want to seem like I was soft or nothing, but I was just thinking about life, self-preservation. I mean, this is the road we're taking to get to the Laos border. It's a long road, about an hour ride on this road. We're gonna hit this coffee shop on the way. U.S. Cafe coffee shop. Looks like a pretty nice place. We'll hit this spot on the way up. We're doing this motorbike ride this morning. Started out at about 9:30 on the ride. We're heading up to the Laos border from Undo Thani, where we rented the bikes. Caught a little flight into Undo Thani yesterday from Bangkok, and about an hour-long flight. Got here and settled into our accommodations, and we decided this morning we're going to do a little bike ride. Pretty much the whole trip we're going to be riding on the motorbikes, but it's a pretty good deal getting the bikes. Once we got on the bikes, got settled in, we decided to start the ride. We may run into some mountains along the way, so prepare for that. We're going to probably try to do between 70 and 75 kilometers per hour all the way up. Pretty good speed. We got a strong headwind this morning, so we'll figure that with these rented helmets. It's not the best situation, but hey, you got to do what you got to do sometime. A long ride like this gives you a chance to clear your head, think about some of the things in your life that are important, and also just really kick back and relax, forget about your problems, and enjoy life. And that's what I'm all about right now. Today they got the election going on back in the States, and a lot of tension there, a lot of stress there. I'm feeling a little bit less stress here because it's not as intense here with the election issues that are going on there. So that's one thing that I'm avoiding, some of that, being bombarded 24/7 with election issues. I've gotten probably no less than 100 text messages on my cell phone on who to vote for. And at this point, everyone knows who they want to vote for, so that's kind of crazy, a waste of time. But it is what it is. It's part of the game that's being played. So anyway, once we get to Laos, we're gonna. I don't think I'm gonna actually enter the country. We'll probably go right up to the border because I don't want to go through a whole immigration process where they stamp like 2 pages of your passport and really fill up your passport with a bunch of stamps. I think I'll save that for another day. Besides, I don't really have a destination to go to in Laos anyway. I just want to go and say that it's right there, and also enjoy the bike ride. It's kind of nice. Back in the day, I did own a Harley, and a couple of Harleys, as a matter of fact. My first one was a Harley Fat Boy, which was quite the bike. I just got back into riding and went through driving school at the Harley driving school, and got this Harley Fat Boy. And upon purchasing the bike, I found out that the only one they had in stock that was black, that I wanted, the color I wanted, it was a 114 engine, and I only wanted a 107 because that's a lot of horsepower. But he says, "Oh, you can handle it." So I went on and bought the bike. Jumped on that bike in the parking lot, and the bike, darn it, threw me off the back. It was so powerful. I had to really work with that bike to learn how to handle it. It was a big bike. So, I mean, these are not lightweight bikes. It's about 700-pound bike. And so, it was a lot to deal with right there. It's like riding a bull. And a motorcycle wants to kill you. Let's make no mistake about it. Motorcycle, it wants to kill you. You have to control that beast and never go outside the limits of your own driving skills and ability. So anyway, I got the bike. It took me a few weeks to really get used to it. I used to ride it down up and back and forth on my street where I lived in Michigan, and take it to a parking lot at the bank parking lot after the bank closed, and drive around in there and do figure eights, practice figure eights in there so I could gain control of the bike, learn some of the behavior and the manners of the bike, and really be able to respect what that bike could do and what it couldn't do. Super tight turns. So anyway, had that bike for a couple of years, enjoyed it. Then I went and I wanted a bike that I could go on a freeway to ride with. And so I needed a touring bike. That was a cruiser, fat bike. So I wanted a touring bike. So I went and got a touring bike. I went and bought a brand new Street Glide, Harley Street Glide, and it was the new color came out that year. It was like a rock stone color, and that bike was bigger than the Fat Boy. That bike was probably close to 900 pounds, fully dressed out and with full tank of gas. It was a huge, heavy bike, and so I got on that bike. I rode that bike for a while. That bike came with a 107 engine, which was smaller than the 114 engine the Fat Boy had. So the manners on the bike were different. I throttle that bike, and it would take a second for that bike to get all that weight rolling. I mean, all that momentum going for that weight. And so I could control it a little bit better. As far as turns go, it wasn't turning as well as, as tight of circles as the Fat Boy because it was a bigger, heavier bike. And really wasn't meant for super tight turns. Although, I guess if you go to the driving academy, the advanced driving academy with Harley Davidson, you learn how to do fairly tight turns with even a big bike. It's just all about technique. But anyway, I had that bike, enjoyed it for a while. And then as I got older, these bikes come with 6-speed manual transmissions. So you're not, no automatic transmission there. You're shifting gears with your hands, feet, your left foot, right foot, left hand, right hand, everything's doing something. And so it's a lot as you get older. Some guys can do it into their 80s, 70s, and 80s. I was in my seat. I was like, you know what? I'm 60 years old. It's time to let go of this bike. This bike is a lot. And then if you fall on it and you get hurt, it's going to take a long time to heal from an injury. Another thing too, a little story about I took a ride with a buddy of mine, and we worked together at the AG's office for a while, and so we decided to, he had a Harley also, and so once he found out I had one, he said, hey, let's do a ride together. So we did a couple rides together, and he's a little bit younger than I am, and he likes to ride. He's a seasoned rider, you could tell. So we get out on the freeway, old boy is doing about 90 miles an hour. I'm thinking that's the last thing I want to do at my age with no kind of protection other than a little flimsy fairing, which is made out of fiberglass that would really deteriorate at 30 miles an hour. So I said, it'd be an instant death if I have a crash at this speed. 90, and then those roads in Michigan back then were some of the worst roads in the country. So we were riding along, we going up 23, coming back from a ride. I think we were heading toward Toledo. We're going to go on 23 to 275 and then 75 on into Ohio, Toledo. So we're going to go get breakfast that morning. So we was heading down south on 275. There was this huge crater in the ground. I hit that crater on that, I was on my street glide then. Hit that crater on the street glide, damn near lost it. I said, wait a minute, these roads are not conducive to doing 90 miles an hour. I said, bro, you got to maybe slow it down a little bit. Because, I didn't want to seem like I was soft or nothing, but I was just thinking about life, self-preservation. You out there at 90 miles an hour, I don't care what kind of motorcycle you got, at 90 miles an hour, if you crash, it's going to be a closed casket funeral. So I told him, I said, man, I'm not used to riding. He said, man, we go all the way to other states. We're doing like 100 all the way. I'm like, whoo, that's just not for me. So that was one of the things that went into, and shout out to Shelby. One of the things that went into me just making a decision. But then, you get that rider envy some days in the summer or in the fall, or even in the spring. You get that rider envy, and you see these other guys out there, they pulling their bikes out and it sounds so cool. And you get that feeling of exhilaration and freedom when you're on that bike. So I do miss that. No question about it. I miss that. I probably will miss it for the rest of my life. But every now and again, when I can get a chance to ride, I try to get on somebody's bike and ride. I don't know if I ever want to own another bike, but I'll get on a bike and ride. I've had thoughts about going back and getting another Fat Boy when I come back to the States, but why? I may not be living in the States. I may sell that house and I may be out here permanently. If I'm out here permanently, I'll get a smaller bike, maybe a 155 or a 310 or something like that. But just part of that story. Just one of the reasons why I did decide to get away from owning a big bike like that. So I wound up selling my bike to a guy. He lived in Wisconsin. This guy calls me up. He was serious. There was another guy in North Carolina who wanted to buy it. He said he's going to ride up, get a ride up to Michigan, buy it, and ride it all the way back. I thought that was quite ambitious. So this guy from but you know, once I gave him the price, I never really heard back from this guy much. So this guy from Wisconsin decided he's gonna buy the bike for me. So he drives up. He puts his motorbike trailer on the back of his truck. He drives up from Wisconsin, but instead of going down through Illinois and Chicago and all that traffic coming back up through Michigan, he decides he's gonna go north through Wisconsin and all the way up through the UP, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. If anybody knows anything about Michigan, Upper Peninsula is like a whole different state. It's huge, and it has its own issues in terms of navigation. In terms of, you're going to be driving a lot more hours, but it's a lot less traffic, and the roads are in great condition because they don't see a lot of heavy traffic there. So anyway, this guy, he calls me up. He says, "Hey, I'm leaving." He left that Friday night, I think it was, and he was going to drive all the way. And he came. It took him like 12 hours or something like that, I think. And he came to my house. And this guy, when I saw him in person, I was shocked. I was like, this dude is older than I am. He was like in his early 70s. He was gonna buy my bike. I was selling it for a fairly good price too, like 22 grand for that bike. That bike only had like 6,000 miles on it or something like that. It was a nice. I mean, I don't do a lot of riding because I was working full time at the time, so I didn't do a lot of riding. So when he came, I saw the guy at my door. I was kind of taken aback by his age. I was like, can this guy handle this bike? So then he asked me to ride the bike up onto the trailer. This little tight little trailer he had for this bike. He asked me to do that because I don't know if he felt confident doing it himself. I'm thinking, is this guy buying his bike for himself? Or is he buying it for someone else? Because he could get hurt bad on this bike. And he lived out on a farm, so I imagine he had a lot of room to ride around, make some mistakes without hurting himself bad. So anyway, I rode it up on the trailer for him. He strapped it down. It took him about 30 minutes to strap this bike down. He was strapping, and he finally got it done. So we go to do the deal, which we did before I rode it onto the trailer. So I'm a little bit out of line with that, but we did a deal for the money and went to the bank. I got all the funds squared away, but I had a lien on the bike at the time because I had I was paying on the bike monthly through Harley Davidson. So couldn't get him a clear title right then. So guy trusted me to go ahead and do the paperwork for him and get the title and mail it to him. And I did just that. And I sent him some other items that he forgot to pick up too along the way. So he was kind of happy about that. I guess he was satisfied and restored his faith in people. I guess, maybe he always trusted people like that. I'm not sure. But anyway, he got the title and information from the bike about 2 weeks after we did the deal. And he had the Harley at that point in time. So saying all that to say this, sometimes in life you go through different phases in terms of what you want and what you do, and sometimes it's due to age. I didn't feel comfortable after a while riding a big Harley at my age, shifting all those gears and really city traffic. It's a lot to it. But when I got here, even though I'm a bit older now, when I got here, motorbikes were not a problem because they were much smaller, easier to handle, and easier to maneuver through traffic. And here in Thailand, you're going to be maneuvering through traffic. I mean, in and out of cars, riding the white line, something you don't do in Michigan. Ride the white lights could be very dangerous, but you have to be able to do that and anticipate someone making a crazy move. And I think once you get seasoned a bit as a rider, you can do that a little bit better than a novice new driver. But anyway, it's just a little short story I'd share with you about my experience with bikes. And I'm looking forward to finishing out this ride heading up to Laos. So I'll touch base with you later.